This is question number 27 of the Geometry TNReady practice test. Question number 27 says, Mr. Miller is trying to determine the width of his pond, and he makes these measurements. To the nearest foot, what is the width of the pond? So as you can see, Mr. Miller has created a scenario in which we can use trigonometry to get it inside of a right triangle. We want to know this side. We are given this. And we know this. Anytime you have a right triangle, you have a few options if you're trying to find a missing piece. If you have two of the sides given and you want to find the third missing side, you can do the Pythagorean theorem. If you're not given that, if you look at the angles, you might have a special triangle that you can work with. This is a 30, 60, 90 triangle, so that's certainly a possibility that we can use, and we might explore that. Also, we could use trigonometry here, and we'll also talk about that. So if we're going to use trig, I need to know whether it's sine, cosine, or tangent. So I always draw a line out from the angle of interest, and the angle across from that would be the opposite side. So the x is the opposite side. The side opposite the hypotenuse, or the right angle, I'm sorry, is the hypotenuse. Kind of gave that one away. And the other one is just the adjacent, or adjacent angle. No one cares. So we want to work with the opposite adjacent. The old aardvark sat on Henry's coat and hat, which is how I learned it. So the old aardvark tells the story. Maybe you knew SOHCAHTOA. So the TOA would be tangent 60 degrees is equal to x over 144, because it's opposite over adjacent. You might want to write out, if you're that type who makes little careless mistakes like I am, you might want to write out the formula real fast first and then have it. It's easier to write it out fast on the paper when you're not trying to use this write-on pad thing. Anyway, I have that, so I can go ahead and figure out what it is. I don't know why that did that. I just lost a bunch of lines for no good reason. So in this case, I want to get x by itself, so I need to multiply both sides by 144. And that will cancel this out, so I may actually write that like this. Now it'll cancel. Ends up with x, and over here, tangent 60 times 144. Now the thing about a calculator, if you're going to use one, and we are allowed to use a calculator in this section, this is calculator allowed, says here right here, is that you want to make sure that you have it in the right mode. So here's mine. I'm going to go into mode and make sure this is set for degrees, because they're not giving it to me in radians. I don't need that information. So tangent 60 times 144, despite the fact that I've written 144 a bunch of times, and every single time have managed, except for the very first time, to make it look like 149 for some reason. This is not much better, but oh well. It's as good as it's going to get for right now. 249.41, and they want to know the answer to the nearest foot. So we will put 249, and we will be done. What else could you do? I don't like to use trigonometry, you say. I am an adherent to the philosophy of special triangles whenever they are applicable. Fine, fine, fine. If that is true, here's x. This is the 30 degree. You may remember that a 30, 60, 90 triangle have side relationships as such. Across from the 30, we call that side. Across from the right angle, we call that two side. And across from the 60, we have side times the square root of 3. Now we know what side is because it tells me the thing across from 30 is 144. So if the 60 degree angle is supposed to be, if x is really supposed to be side times the square root of 3, and we have a side length of 144, we should be able to multiply that by or times the square root of 3, so let's test it. There we go. Gives us the same answer. So our answer for this one is 249. And you're welcome to use either method that you want. It's just if you can't remember the special triangles, you'll have to use trig. And if you can't remember trig, maybe you can use special triangles.